As we gather together this morning, may we learn to recognize and affirm the pieces of possibility, the bits of good that we bring. Each of us is indispensable. If we are to minister to a broken world, to a wounded world, together in our gathered diversity, we form the whole. Let us come into worship. The stirrings of compassion blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Flow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in our hearts all the stirrings of compassion. Flow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, to me, come to me. When the great plates slip and the earth shivers, and the flaw is seen to lie in what you trusted most.
Look not to solidity, to weighty slabs of concrete poured, or strength of the cantilevered beam to save the fractured order.
Trust more the tensile strands of love that bend and stretch to hold you in the web of life that's often torn but always healing.
the shifting plates, the restive earth, your room, your precious life. They all proceed from love, the ground on which we walk together.
And so we light this chalice as a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith and our commitment to navigating this life in beloved community.
I invite you to take a moment to settle into your chair, into your body. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you like. In this moment, despite whatever pain or struggles or fears or anxieties may be in your life, I invite you to open yourself up to gratitude. And let that feeling of gratitude fill your heart. And let your mind rest on the blessings in your life. Cultivate that feeling of gratitude inside your body until you feel full of gratitude, until it overflows and fills this room. I invite you now into a time of silent prayer and meditation. Amen, and blessed be.
A part of the Unitarian Universalist service includes what we call readings from the Common Bowl. These are simply short quotations that are read out loud for people to think about and reflect a little bit on what the theme of the service is. Today's theme is Holy Discomfort. So I've asked a number of you in the audience to be willing to read out some of these statements. So if you'll be willing to just go ahead and do that, you don't have to stand up, you don't have to come forward. Just read and then pause for a minute, and then the next person can read theirs. Thank you.
With ideas, it is like with dizzying heights you climb. At first they Our reading today is from Charles Eisenstein. I spoke recently with Cal Lassen, the founder of the radical magazine Adbuster, and a man who has devoted his entire life to promoting and practicing hands-on activism. He told me that for some time now, he hasn't been spending much time on politics or the magazine because he is taking care of his 95-year-old mother-in-law. He said, taking care of her is far more important to me than all my other work put together. Cal agreed with me when I said, our worldview must accommodate the truth and importance of this. My dear reader, can you countenance a reality in which to save the planet, we have to neglect our 95-year-old mother-in-law? There must be a place in our understanding of how the universe works for the intimate, uncalculated acts of service that are such a beautiful part of our humanity. Is Cal to trust his feeling that in taking care of this old woman, he's doing something significant? Do you not know in your bones that any belief system that denies that significance must be part of the problem? Can you bear to live in a world in which what he is doing doesn't matter? We only keep performing the tasks that keep the world-devouring machine running by quelling that feeling of significance. If we steel ourselves to do what some abstract reasoning tells us we must do in the interest to do what some abstract reasoning tells us we must do in the interests of practicality. Specifically, when are the methods of practicality appropriate? Quite simply, they are appropriate when we know how to do something from within our current understanding of causality. If your stove is on fire and you have a fire extinguisher, then of course you use the fire extinguisher. You don't ignore it and pray for a miracle instead. But by the same token, if your house is a roaring inferno and all you have is a puny fire extinguisher that you know is far insufficient to the task, you shouldn't just wave it in front of the flames in a posture of heroism. The latter situation is a good description of our current predicament. Yes, it is true our house is on fire, but what should we do about it? Or more to the point, what should you do about it? What, according to the conventional notions of causality that nearly everyone in modern society has deeply internalized, can you do that is practical? Nothing. Therefore, we must learn to follow another kind of guidance, one that leads to an expanded realm of what is possible. You may think it is dangerous to sow despair, even if what I say is true. But the despair is there, whether I sow it or not. I think it is better not to obscure the despair, because real hope lies only on its other side. Despair is part of the territory we must traverse. Until we reach the other side, despair weighs on our hearts as we soldier on, never fully believing we are doing much good. Eventually, however strong our spirits, our efforts waver, our energy flags, and we give up. Perhaps for a while, personal vanity can keep us going as we uphold a self-image of being ethical, conscious, and a part of the solution. But that motivation is insufficiently deep to bring us to the courage, commitment, and faith we need. True optimism comes from having traversed the territory of despair and taken its measure. It is not ignorant of the magnitude of the crisis, nor unaware of the forces that stand in the path of healing. It isn't that I have shied away from the bleak truth because I can't take it. Optimism lies on the other side of it, and hope is its herald. From within the logic of the old story, hope is a lie, a hallucination of something impossible. But it comes from our innate idealism, our heart's knowledge of a more beautiful world. The beliefs that tell us that a more beautiful world is not possible conflict with the heart that tells us it is. It is only when the scaffold of those beliefs collapses that hope need no longer clothe itself in the absurd. Our unreasonable hope is pointing us towards something true. That is why I call it a herald. This new story, because it embodies a different understanding of reality and of causality, also transforms our understanding of what is practical. From the story of interbeing, no longer does the knowledge of the heart that it is important to take care of a 95-year-old mother-in-law conflict with the reason of the mind. The terms of reason have changed. Heart and mind need no longer be at odds. The rapprochement is part of a greater trend of reunion that is the healing of our world, encompassing the reunion of spirit and matter, discipline and desire, body and soul, money and gift, nature and technology, man and woman, the domestic and the wild, work and play, and life and art. Each of these, we will understand, creates and contains the other. No longer will we live in the illusion that they are separate.
Good morning. It's good to see you all here. I couldn't resist a chance to bring my guitar up to the pulpit. I remember growing up in Knoxville, Tennessee, in university housing. Little brick buildings clumped together like villages. My best friend was a boy from Pakistan that lived upstairs. I had more friends from all over the world that lived next door and across the way. I would wake up in the morning and someone was knocking at my door. Hey, you want to come out and play? Of course I did. And I never had to worry if my mother was watching me. Like being raised by a village, there was always someone looking out for us. You could just step out your front door and there'd be someone to share a meal with, to talk, to laugh, or play. Ever since I left that place, I've been searching for that kind of real, natural connection. And now I'm in my final year of seminary, and the world feels like it's falling apart. I think many of us are asking, where do we go from here? But friends, the Spirit is moving, and sometimes the Spirit is a force of destruction, tearing down what does not stand for life and love and beloved community. I have a confession to make. There are walls around me. There are walls around me. There are walls around me. There are walls around me now. There are walls around me. There are walls around me. There are walls around me now. Walls separating my house from yours, fences separating my yard from yours. Car doors and windows separating us from the rest of the world. Executive orders labeling some of us unwelcome in this country. Centuries of systemic oppression giving me the privilege of being white and male. But isn't it funny how music gets in the cracks and makes the walls feel a little thinner? The thing is, the walls aren't just on the outside of me. The real challenge is rooting out those inside walls, the racism, the pain, the fear of the unknown, everything that perpetuates injustice within my heart. We need to be activists on the level of story. This starts by making the invisible visible, and I know those of us with the most privilege have the most to learn. We need to start by acknowledging the walls of the old story, separating us from one another. And that's why I ask you to sing with me, There Are Walls Around Me. There are walls around me, there are walls around me, there are walls around me now. Sing it again. There are walls around me, there are walls around me, there are walls around me now. I need a sanctuary, not a retreat, But in the midst of cell phone rings and TV screens, city streets and car horn beeps, it is co-created space that we need, not islands of broken dreams, but tapestries telling new tales of our collective greatness. The time for silence is over. No more silence. I can't keep quiet, let spirit guide it. No silence. There's a tiger in my blood. We need places where we can look into each other's eyes and say, I love you as your whole self, and I am not afraid. Does your inner cynic tell you this is impossible? That's the old story talking. Don't listen, friends. Because what happens when we refuse to play along? What happens when the women of the world sing, I can't keep quiet? When we proclaim that black lives matter, that brown, that native, that queer, that Muslim, that immigrant lives matter, that animal and plant lives matter, that river and mountain lives matter. I entitled this sermon, Holy Discomfort, Spiritual Practices for Trying Times. And I recognize this discomfort is very real for many of us right now. I'm beginning to understand as well that many of you with more marginalized identities are saying, welcome to the club, about time. Privilege allows some of us to escape discomfort. Privilege allows some of us to escape discomfort, not all. But discomfort is not inherently holy. Discomfort becomes holy when we allow that feeling to connect us to something larger. And the reward for this practice is not a sense of peace, but a sense of purpose. Discomfort becomes holy when we allow that feeling to connect us to something larger, when we can use our voices, our art, our bodies in service of this purpose. This connection that rewrites the story of our separation. We begin to transform the spaces that we inhabit. This is the first spiritual practice for trying times, creating sacred space by expressing our truth, especially where this truth is not welcome. No more silence. I can't keep quiet, let spirit guide it. No silence. There's a tiger in my blood. Will you sing with me? There are walls around me. There are walls around me. There are walls around me. There are walls around me now. Sing it out. There are walls around me. There are walls around me. There are walls around me now. So we co-create sacred spaces through protests, through gatherings, through the way we interact with the world, through the very presence of our beings. That's the first spiritual practice for trying times. The second is to follow the flow of the holy. That means attune yourself to your environment and listen to what is being called forth in you. Your ancestors are trying to speak to you. Your community is trying to speak to you. God is trying to speak to you. A lot of people say now is the time